At the heart of Southeast Asia, there's a city too strange to believe huge 20-lane highways completely empty, massive temples with no one in sight. It's 4 times the size of London and 6 times the size of New York, but apparently nobody is living there. 2 years ago, we mentioned this city as the strangest capital on Earth. Now, we've decided to take a deep dive into the city of Naypyidaw. Before starting, you might know the country by a different name, especially if you were around before 1989. Back then, Myanmar was called Burma, and this is actually pretty controversial. The name was changed to Myanmar by a military dictatorship that forced its way into power back in the 1960s. Many people didn't think this regime had the right to change the country's name, but the United Nations called the country Myanmar, so that's the name we'll be using too. Now let's talk about Naypyidaw, the strangest capital on Earth. Here's a satellite image of the city. Naypyidaw has a total area of approximately 7,054 square kilometers. As we mentioned earlier, that's several times bigger than London or New York. A similarly sized city, but still a bit smaller, is Shanghai. But there's a major difference between Naypyidaw and Shanghai. Shanghai's population is 26 million, whereas Naypyidaw has less than 1 million current inhabitants. It makes the place feel like a ghost town, a ghost megacity, something straight out of a post-apocalyptic film. The roads are vast, with 20 lanes in some places, but completely empty of vehicles. A truck might occasionally trundle through, but it will usually have the entire road to itself. The parks and gardens are the same. So are the golf course, the zoo, and even the city's most famous landmark, the Upetasanti Pagoda, is deserted. There's an airport with space for several million passengers, but today there are rarely more than a couple of hundred people there. There are also dozens of extravagant luxury hotels, but the pools are deserted and most rooms have never even been used. In fact, the only people you're likely to see are gardeners and street cleaners. This is the big difference between Naypyidaw and a post-apocalyptic city. The capital is maintained to immaculate standards by an army of workers. There are workers in the shops as well. In 2015, 2 Guardian journalists paid a visit to the city and described a jewelry store with dozens of people working there, but no customers. It was completely silent. The population has risen a bit since 2015. Back then, Naypyidaw was even more of a ghost city with less than 400,000 citizens, but it's still eerie to think about. And this capital gets stranger yet. There's one other place where you're likely to see some people. The city is home to Myanmar's parliament, a complex of extravagant and identical-looking buildings surrounded by fences and moats. It's hard to get close to this complex. There are soldiers posted all around it. But who are they really expected to stop when there's nobody else around? There are rumors that these high-security buildings are connected to a network of underground tunnels that stretch beneath the city, supposedly designed with the help of North Korean technicians. These rumors are almost impossible to prove, but considering how strange Naypyidaw is, it wouldn't really come as a big surprise. As well as this ministry zone, the city also has a military zone, a hotel zone, a residential zone, and several others. In the residential zone, the roofs of the buildings are color-coded depending on the jobs of the people who live there. Blue roofs are for workers from the Ministry of Health, green roofs for workers from the Ministry of Agriculture. But of course, most homes are empty. These city zones are large, clumsy, and disorganized without a logical structure or ordering. It's as though these different parts of the city have been thrown together without any proper thought. It's impossible to find a city center in Naypyidaw. It's like moving through a random maze. The setup of the roads doesn't help either. They are strangely arranged and hard to navigate. Look at this 20-lane highway inside the ministry zone, which randomly connects to a much smaller road. If there were genuinely 20 lanes of traffic here, it would instantly lead to gridlock. The planning just doesn't make any sense. There are roundabouts too, vast and bizarre, that it hurts your brain to look at them. You won't find roundabouts that look like this anywhere else in the entire world. Again, it's lucky that these roads aren't actually full of cars. These roundabouts would surely be gridlocked. This one is particularly strange and sits in the middle of a 16-lane highway. But for some reason, they decided to build another road to bypass the roundabout, only to then intersect the highway at a 90-degree angle. I don't know about you, but to me, a 90-degree turn on a 16-lane highway doesn't seem like a good idea. Further east, there's this other massive 16-lane highway. The grand vision for Naypyidaw was to create a modern, bustling metropolis that would not only alleviate congestion in Yangon, but also attract foreign investment, boost trade, and serve as a strategic hub for the region. It was promoted as a symbol of Myanmar's emergence from isolation and a beacon of progress. The city was designed to accommodate a population of up to 5 million people, complete with state-of-the-art facilities, green spaces, and smart city technologies. The planners promised a city with reliable utilities, efficient public transportation, and a thriving economic ecosystem. On paper, it sounded like a dream come true for Myanmar's development. Construction on Naypyidaw officially commenced in 2002, with a groundbreaking ceremony attended by high-ranking government officials. Billions of dollars were poured into the project, and construction sites dotted the landscape with cranes and workers bustling about. As the project progressed, it was evident that the Myanmar government was committed to its success. The government allocated vast sums of money and resources to the development of infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and utilities. Chinese investors, too, were keen to see their investment bear fruit. However, despite the grand vision and initial excitement, Naypyidaw soon encountered a series of challenges and setbacks. The project faced criticism from environmentalists concerned about its impact on the fragile ecosystem of the nearby Sitong River. Protests also arose over land rights and forced evictions of local communities. In addition to these issues, doubts about the economic viability of the project surfaced. Critics questioned whether there was sufficient demand for the massive amount of commercial and residential space being developed. Concerns were raised about the transparency of the project's financing and whether it might lead to a debt trap for Myanmar, a scenario seen in other Belt and Road Initiative projects. The political landscape in Myanmar further complicated matters. In February 2021, Myanmar experienced a military coup, with the military junta seizing power once again. This political upheaval disrupted the stability of the country and cast further doubt on the future of Naypyidaw. International sanctions and political instability hindered foreign investment and the project's progress. As the political turmoil in Myanmar continued and doubts surrounding the project grew, it became clear that Naypyidaw was facing an uncertain future. Construction sites once filled with activity began to resemble ghost towns. The grand vision of a modern metropolis seemed to be slipping away. By 2023, the situation had deteriorated further. In 2015, the regime agreed to hold another democratic election. Even though they lost again, they accepted the election's results. For a period of time, the situation in Myanmar seemed to soften. But in 2021, the military launched another coup, seizing control and throwing the country into a period of disarray. A civil war has been raging ever since, with battles between both sides. But this conflict is centered around the city of Yangon, the most populated part of the country. That's where people are protesting, that's where the battles are taking place. Meanwhile, right at the center of the country, Naypyidaw is sitting empty and unbothered, with the military leaders tucked away safe from all the action. A coincidence, maybe, or a fortress? Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more future updates. Thanks for watching.